Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the motorcycles that looked perfect, but now owners deeply regret buying them. Number 12. Kawasaki Eliminator. The Kawasaki Eliminator entered the 2026 market with sleek, power cruiser styling that promised a refreshing alternative to the aging entry-level segment. However, many American owners now deeply regret the $6,000 investment due to a glaring mismatch between its aggressive name and its actual performance. The primary source of frustration is the 451cc parallel twin engine, which is high-strung and buzzy at highway speeds. Unlike the deep, rhythmic pulse expected from a cruiser, this ninja-derived motor requires the rider to constantly wring out the gears to stay in the power band, leading to significant handlebar vibration that numbs the hands during a standard commute. Owners frequently report that while the bike looks like a middleweight beast, it feels physically small and lightweight on the interstate, where it can be easily unsettled by the wind blast from passing semi-trucks. Beyond the engine character, the 2026 model has faced criticism for its sparse amenities and underwhelming suspension. Despite the nearly $7,000 price tag, when factoring in destination fees and the ABS upgrade, the bike lacks basic creature comforts like adjustable levers or a plush seat, with many owners complaining that the thin foam becomes unbearable after just 45 minutes of riding. For those who spent their hard-earned dollars expecting a mini power cruiser, the reality of a buzzy, high RPM street bike in cruiser clothing has led to a wave of trade-ins. Number 11. Harley-Davidson Low Rider S. The Harley-Davidson Low Rider S carries an imposing price of $20,000 in 2026, promising a no-compromise performance cruiser experience that many American buyers now feel is marred by ergonomic negligence. While the Milwaukee 8117 engine is a masterpiece of torque, owners are increasingly vocal about the clamshell riding position created by the mid-mount controls and tall risers. For over $20,000, riders expected a more balanced geometry, but many find themselves immediately spending another $2,000 on aftermarket forward controls and seat modifications just to make the bike rideable. Furthermore, the heavy steering at low speeds makes urban maneuvering surprisingly clumsy for a bike marketed as a performance machine. While the West Coast style looks perfect in a showroom, the reality of living with its rigid ergonomics and punishing heat has led to significant buyer's remorse among those who intended to use it for more than just short trips to the local bike night. Owners are realizing that style shouldn't come at the cost of basic spinal health, leading to a surplus of low-mileage 2026 units hitting the used market. Number 10. Suzuki Boulevard M109R. The Suzuki Boulevard M109R remains one of the most visually striking motorcycles in 2026, but its massive 1783cc V-twin power is overshadowed by aging technology and cumbersome handling that many owners now regret. At a 2026 price of $15,000, it is a significant investment in a platform that has seen very few meaningful updates in over a decade. American riders who fell for its muscular power cruiser looks are finding that its 240mm rear tire makes the bike remarkably resistant to turning. This heavy steering requires significant physical effort to lean the bike into corners, a trait that becomes exhausting on winding backroads. Owners also report a clunky second-gear transition that has plagued this model for years, leading to a mechanical feel that lacks the refinement found in modern competitors. The absence of modern rider aids like traction control or multiple ride modes is a major sticking point in 2026, with 118 foot-pounds of torque hitting the ground. The lack of electronic safety nets makes the bike feel intimidating and raw in a way that is no longer charming for daily use. For $15,000, buyers expected a modern muscle bike, but instead, they find themselves wrestling a beautiful but archaic beast that feels increasingly out of place on contemporary roads. Number 9. Indian Chief. The Indian Chief is a stunning piece of American machinery, but in 2026, many owners are regretting their $18,999 purchase due to the bike's surprisingly harsh ride and lack of high-speed refinement. While the Thunderstroke 116 engine provides a soul-stirring 120 foot-pounds of torque, the rear suspension travel is a measly 3 inches. On standard American roads, this limited travel means the dual shocks bottom out frequently, sending jarring impacts directly into the rider's seat. Owners complain that for nearly $19,000, the premium experience is constantly interrupted by a suspension that feels cheaper than entry-level bikes. The 2026 model's technology suite, while visually impressive, has also been a source of frustration, with riders reporting slow boot times and occasional software glitches on the Ride Command touchscreen. Many buyers who were seduced by the Chief's gorgeous, heritage styling now find that the reality of a stiff, hot, and underbraked motorcycle makes for a disappointing ownership experience. For the price, they expected a smooth-sailing flagship, but the Chief's physical limitations have left many feeling like they paid a premium for a bike that prioritized form far too much over function. Number 8. Triumph Rocket 3. The Triumph Rocket 3 is a mechanical marvel with the world's largest production motorcycle engine. Yet in 2026, owners are finding that its $25,000 price tag comes with massive hidden costs and practical frustrations. The 2458cc triple engine produces an earth-shattering 163 foot-pounds of torque, but this power is a double-edged sword. American owners report that the sheer physical heat generated by the massive headers is unbearable in anything other than freezing weather, effectively turning the bike into a seasonal vehicle. The cost of ownership is another significant source of regret. A single rear tire replacement can cost upwards of $400 due to its unique size, and the complex maintenance required for such a high-performance machine often results in dealer bills that shock new owners. Furthermore, the small 18-liter fuel tank is a major design flaw. For a bike designed for grand touring, the range is embarrassingly short because the massive engine gulps fuel at an alarming rate. While the initial thrill of the 0 to 60 acceleration is unparalleled, owners are discovering that the daily reality of the Rocket 3 is one of constant heat, frequent refueling, and eye-watering service costs. For $25,000, they bought a legend, but they inherited a high-maintenance lifestyle they weren't prepared for. Number 7. Harley-Davidson Street 500. The Harley-Davidson Street 500 was once the gateway to the brand, but in 2026, owners who purchased the remaining new stock or late-model units for roughly $7,000 are regretting the choice due to substandard build quality. While the Harley badge on the tank promised a premium feel, the reality is a bike laden with cheap plastics and exposed wiring that quickly corrodes. American owners who intended to use this for urban commuting find that the Revolution X engine lacks the traditional Harley rumble, instead producing a thin mechanical whine that many find uninspiring. The most common complaint involves the braking system, which is notoriously spongy and lacks the bite needed for confident emergency stops in city traffic. Owners also regret the bike's poor resale value. Unlike the larger cruisers that hold their price, the Street 500 depreciates rapidly, leaving many riders underwater on their loans. Many buyers who wanted the prestige of the bar and shield logo realized too late that they had purchased a budget-oriented machine that didn't live up to the brand's legendary standards for fit and finish. They spent $7,000 to join a club, but the bike they received felt like a Harley-light compromise that failed to deliver the authentic American experience they were craving. Number 6. A Triumph Bonville Bobber. The Triumph Bonville Bobber is arguably the most beautiful motorcycle of the 2026 model year, but owners are finding that its $13,000 MSRP buys a very limited riding experience. The primary regret stems from the radical floating solo seat. While it looks incredible, it completely eliminates the possibility of carrying a passenger, making the bike a lonely investment. More importantly, the fuel tank capacity is a measly 2.4 gallons. For American riders accustomed to wide-open spaces, this means a range of barely 80 to 90 miles before the fuel light begins to glow. Owners describe the constant range anxiety as the single biggest factor in their buyer's remorse, as it makes even simple weekend group rides stressful. The low-slung design also means the bike has very limited cornering clearance. The foot pegs scrape the asphalt on even moderate turns, which can be startling and dangerous for riders expecting a bit more agility from a modern Triumph. Despite the high-torque 1200cc engine being a gem, its power is often wasted because the bike's ergonomics are so compact that anyone over 6 feet tall feels like they are riding a toy. Owners realize that they paid nearly $14,000 for a piece of rolling art that is magnificent to look at in the garage, but frustratingly impractical for any ride longer than a trip to the local coffee shop. Number 5. Harley-Davidson Nightster. The Harley-Davidson Nightster was marketed as the modern evolution of the Sportster, but in 2026 many owners regret the $13,000 purchase because it lacks the soul of its predecessors. The liquid-cooled Revolution Max 975T engine is technically superior, yet owners complain that it feels clinical and lacks the visceral vibration and sound that defined the Harley experience for decades. A major design choice that has led to widespread regret is the plastic fuel tank cover. The real fuel cell is located under the seat to lower the center of gravity, which sounds good on paper but makes refueling a clumsy process that involves lifting the saddle. Owners are also finding that the build quality does not reflect the $13,000 price tag, with frequent reports of rattly plastic bodywork and an underwhelming fit and finish compared to the old air-cooled models. The rear suspension travel is also a major pain point, literally, as the dual outboard shocks have only 3 inches of movement, making the bike feel incredibly harsh on American city streets. Many riders find that they need to spend an additional $1,000 on aftermarket suspension just to make the bike comfortable for a daily commute. For $13,000, buyers expected a high-performance, modern American classic, but many feel they received a lightweight, plastic-heavy experiment that doesn't feel like a real Harley. Number 4. Indian Scout Bobber. The Indian Scout Bobber is a masterclass in aggressive styling, but in 2026, owners who spent $13,000 on this blacked-out icon are discovering that its beauty is skin-deep. The biggest source of regret is the suspension. With just 2 inches of rear travel, the Scout Bobber is notoriously punishing. On the pothole-scarred roads of the USA, the bike frequently slams against its bump stops, causing significant discomfort to the rider's lower back. The 1133cc engine is undeniably powerful, but its high-revving nature feels at odds with the cruiser aesthetic, requiring the rider to stay high in the RPM range to find the torque. Furthermore, the standard seat is often described as a plank of wood, with many owners forced to upgrade to a more expensive comfort seat immediately after purchase. The small 3.3-gallon fuel tank is another practical hurdle, often requiring a stop every 100 miles. Riders who bought the Scout Bobber for its tough look are finding that the tough part actually refers to the physical toll the bike takes on the rider. For $14,000, they expected a smooth, powerful cruiser, but the reality of a bone-jarring ride and constant scraping has turned many former fans into vocal critics of the 2026 model. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Pan America. The Harley-Davidson Pan America was the brand's bold entry into the adventure touring market, but in 2026, owners are deeply regretting their $19,000 investment due to persistent electronic gremlins. While the Revolution Max 1250 engine is a powerhouse, owners have reported a frustrating array of software glitches, ranging from the touchscreen display freezing to intermittent fault codes that put the bike into a limp mode. For American riders who take their ADV bikes into remote areas, these reliability concerns are a deal-breaker, as no one wants to be stranded in the backcountry by a computer error. Another point of regret is the adaptive ride height feature. While innovative, it has been prone to mechanical failures that are extremely expensive to repair out of warranty. Owners also find that the bike's top-heavy nature makes it difficult to manage at low speeds, leading to several tip-over incidents that result in expensive damage to the plastic fairings. Despite the high price tag, the fit and finish on some 2026 units have been criticized, with owners noting misaligned panels and cheap-feeling switchgear compared to European rivals like BMW or KTM. For $19,000, buyers expected a rugged, dependable world traveler, but many feel they purchased a complex, unrefined prototype that spent more time in the shop than on the trail. Number 2. BMW R18. The BMW R18 is a stunning tribute to the brand's history, but in 2026, many owners regret their $18,600 purchase because of its massive, unyielding boxer engine. The 1800cc cylinders protrude so far from the sides of the bike that they severely limit foot placement. Riders cannot use forward controls, and their shins are often uncomfortably close to the hot cylinder heads. This ergonomic restriction is a major source of frustration for American cruiser enthusiasts who are used to stretching their legs out. Furthermore, the sheer weight of the bike, nearly 800 pounds, combined with a very long wheelbase makes it incredibly cumbersome to maneuver in anything other than a straight line. Owners report that parking lot maneuvers are a high-stress affair, as the bike's massive torque reaction causes it to sway to the left whenever the throttle is blipped at a standstill. The rear suspension is also surprisingly stiff, with many riders finding the hardtail look comes with a hardtail feel that is unforgiving on long highway stretches. Despite the premium BMW badge, the 2026 model lacks the touring range one might expect from such a large machine, as the fuel tank is relatively small for the engine's displacement. For nearly $19,000, they wanted a flagship cruiser, but they ended up with a gorgeous but difficult mechanical sculpture. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Sportster S. The Harley-Davidson Sportster S is the most powerful Sportster ever, yet in 2026, it holds the top spot for owner regret due to a fundamental identity crisis and punishing ride quality. Priced at $16,900, owners are finding that the fat front tire, while looking incredibly cool, makes the steering feel sluggish and heavy, requiring constant input to keep the bike on a line through corners. The biggest regret, however, is the non-existent rear suspension travel. With only 1.5 inches of movement, every expansion joint on an American highway feels like a direct strike to the kidneys. Owners have described the ride as borderline dangerous on poor roads, as the bike can actually skip over bumps mid-corner. The high-mounted exhaust, while stylistically iconic, radiates an immense amount of heat directly onto the rider's right leg, making city riding in the summer an agonizing experience. For $17,000, riders also complain about the small 3.1-gallon fuel tank, which limits the bike's range so severely that it cannot be used for serious touring. Many buyers who were drawn to the futuristic look and 121 horsepower headline are realizing that they sacrificed comfort, range, and character for a bike that is fast in a straight line, but miserable to live with on a daily basis. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.